Who remembers the BJ and Bill show all those years ago on WOLZ? Well, many have said they missed the show, and guess what? They're back. Welcome to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Welcome to BJ and Bill, the podcast, episode number 28, or as I like to say, season 2, episode 4. Wow, we are rocking it, baby.
It really is. It never fails to amaze me. And as I listen back to these, it's like, wow, you guys have been doing this for a while. So I'm sure you'd like to share a story or two of your very own, and we would love to hear it. So just a quick reminder, if you want to get in touch, please do so. You can do it a couple of different ways. Of course, our email address, BJ and Bill podcast. Remember, as we always say, spell out the A-N-D. So BJ A-N-D Bill podcast at gmail.com, or you just look us up on Facebook, which is what most people are doing. We appreciate it. Just do a quick search for our page, which is BJ and Bill podcast, just the same as always. You know, spread it around, share it with your friends. And importantly, as we say in the podcasting business, if you could leave us a little review, that'd be awesomeness.
Yeah,
So,
and I guess it helps the podcast grow, I've learned. So we need those reviews, people.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Especially on the big sites like on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and stuff like that. So if you're hearing us on one of those, yeah, a little 5-star review would be fabulous. So there you go. Thank you for that. So
and if you give us a really good review, maybe we'll send you a gift or something. I have a few extra.
No, you can't do that. You can't.
We can't.
Yeah, no, you would get in trouble for trying to bribe people. I think.
Okay, because I have.
Yeah.
That's never been sharpened.
Never been sharpened.
BJ and Bill Breakfast Bunch Oldies 95 pencil. I'll put it up. Where is it?
Wow. Look at that. That's set in the Wayback Machine. I just barely remember that we had those.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think we might have had Robert Elam. I don't know when we changed it to the Breakfast Bunch for a while, but we were the Breakfast Bunch, and then we became BJ and Bill. I hardly remember that. I remember. Yeah, I worked on a morning show in Phoenix, Arizona for a while, and we had pens. We had morning show pens, and we used to give them away every day. We'd give away one or two of them. But I remember we had my morning guy there was a British guy. Shout out to you, Tim Rose, wherever you are. And he made it sound, because as we're recording this, it's the morning after the Academy Awards. He made it sound like you were winning an Academy Award for like a 19-cent pen, because we got them by the 10,000 or whatever, you get them by the huge batch. But he made it sound like, oh my God, you are the winner of the, KLZI, whatever the morning show pen, Breakfast Club pen was. You will be the envy of your office. Your friend, you better guard this thing because your friends will be trying to steal it off of your desk. It's like it was. And it came with a certificate too. We had a certificate printed up that, made it look like it was just like, a gold brick or something. Like it was just amazing. So anyway, it's all in the marketing, of course. Yes. So, and as always on radio, and I guess podcasts now.
Yes.
It's theater of the mind.
Theater. Oh, I like that. Yes, it is theater.
You never heard that one before?
Yeah, no, I've heard that one before. I just never. I don't know if I would apply it to podcasting, because in radio, I mean, we always used to have, because when we would do our little skits and jokes and, stuff like that, our funny stuff that we would set up with a real, it was theater of the mind. You kind of used your imagination. Now it's two old guys talking. I don't know how theater of the mind it is, but it's, My Dinner with Andre. So there you go. So how you doing?
Pretty good. It's really weird because this week I have a dermatologist appointment. We usually do this on Monday. Mm-hmm. And I just remembered, oh my gosh, I have a dermatologist appointment just about the time we're supposed to be recording the podcast. So I got a hold of Bill over the weekend, said, hey, can we move it up? And we both had to drag our butts out of bed early. And to think we did this show for years and years and years, waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and like 8:30 almost killed us today.
That's right. I've told this story many times. I don't know if I've told it here on the podcast, but I have told people many a time that they're always like, you sleep in a lot, don't you? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. And here's my excuse. Your brain always has to make an excuse. It's like, for 20 years, I got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. BJ and Bill's show was, 5:30, 6 a.m. whenever we started. And so you'd have to get up an hour early and drive in and write some new. I did. You had to do show prep. I had to write some new. So 4:30 for 20 years. I got up at 4:30 in the morning, and I told myself when I retired, never getting up with an alarm again. And I think the pendulum kind of swung a little bit far to the other side. So now I tend to sleep in a little too much, trying to change that, but not really interested in changing it. So yeah, you're right. Here we are.
I was gonna say, maybe we should record this podcast like every Monday, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, like it's a morning show.
Oh, sure. Oh yeah. You want to hear two old men go, good morning. Yeah, that's just not happening. When we were younger, then you could do it. But now which is funny because I've heard you tell me what your experience has been. I have heard that as you get older, you need less sleep, or you sleep less. Maybe it's just you don't need less sleep. Maybe you just naturally sleep less. I don't know. But for me, I sleep a lot now. I love my snoozing, and I sleep in almost a lot. So just going to admit to it right off the top there. So I don't know about
one thing I cannot do now, and my wife could do it very easily, and I could never do it when the BJ and Bill show was airing at between 5 and 6 in the morning, depending on what station we were at and everything else.
Right.
Because there was a couple times we had to start it at 5 a.m. I was like, what's wrong with these stupid people? And of course, today we would really be dragging because we changed clocks on Sunday.
Right.
I used to always hate. I didn't mind falling back, but I hated springing forward.
Well, and again, that's why they do it on a Saturday night. So it's not like you're getting up to go to work the next day. So I didn't even, yes, I noticed because I looked at my clock, I looked at my iPhone, which automatically changes. Thank you very much. And it's like, oh, wow, it's late. Oh, that's right. I lost an hour. I sprung forward and lost an hour. So, but I heard some other people complaining about it. I was talking to some friends and they were complaining about it. And I'm like, what's the big deal? I just sleep in. Who cares? But
yeah, because we sleep in. That's why we don't care now.
And that's it. Exactly.
But when I was waking up at 4:30 in the morning, that extra hour was a hell of a doozy back then.
Yes, it made a big difference. Yes, it did. So anyway, so that's our sleeping in complaint. And I know nobody cares because as they listen to this, they could be listening to this at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. It doesn't matter because podcast. See, that's another one of the important differences. Obviously the BJ and Bill show live on the radio every weekday morning. And here, not so much. You listen when you want to. So, yeah.
Well, going back to that theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind.
Radio.
Yes.
Before the BJ and Bill show, and it was on Oldies 95, yes. I used to do this program called The Oldies Diner. Mm-hmm. And we would take your request and we'd play them back on the radio. But always when I would be on the microphone, there would be sound effects of dishes clanging and things like that. And I got to admit, I don't know how many times and how many people would come up to me and say, where is this diner? I would like to come and visit it.
Theater of the mind, because you tell you put it out there, you tell somebody what's going on and they believe you. They believe.
Yes, they
We should have just done the show every morning from Mel's Diner. That would have, I would have been 500 pounds instead of 300 pounds. But yeah, that would have been dangerous business there. But yes, I used to, this was a radio news trick that was used forever. And that was, a couple of different radio stations that I was at where I would do the news. And as you did the news, they had that teletype sound in the background. Remember?
Oh, yes.
If you're old enough to remember, and of course, young people nowadays have no idea what I'm talking about. But in the old days, there was that
like a typewriter
sound of the news being typed out behind you on the teletype machine as it came in. And I used to have that behind me a lot. Yeah.
Oh, it was like a staple. I mean, even the biggest radio stations in the country, if you were listening to WLS back in the 60s, you would definitely hear the teletype in the background. And I know people saying, what's the teletype? What, you didn't read your news on a computer? No, it actually
there was
24
no computer.
hours a day.
There was no computer back then. But that teletype would spit out, and you'd have to remember. It was like a toilet paper. You had to remember to put in a big roll of paper, and it would spit out actual physical paper with actual physical words typed on it. And sometimes you even had to remember to change the ribbon.
I hated that. My fingers would be completely black after changing.
I know. You'd have to change the actual physical ribbon and all of that, tear it off. And even boy, when I was in Phoenix, I worked at a couple of radio stations, and one of them, we didn't have any computers. I think it was before computer times. It was close. It was right on the changeover. But we didn't have any computers in the newsroom. We had typewriters. We had electric typewriters, and that's how you prepared your newscast. Is you would either tear off the teletype wire, and usually both, you would type your newscast onto a physical piece of paper, and then you would cut it so you had these little chunks of paper, like 2 or 3 inches tall, with each one had a story. And you would kind of put them into a little card deck, and you would carry that into the broadcasting, into the booth where you were going to do your newscast. And you would just go through these little decks of, these little stories. Like maybe you had 10 of them. I don't know. And some of them you'd have to play a cart, which was a whole nother, don't get me started on that. And then you just read through it, and, you'd have your intro and your outro. And oh my goodness, it was 910 KFYI Phoenix, news every hour, bulletins at once on the talk station. 910 KFYI.
And you'd be reading it like, this story, blah, 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 blah. And now there was a shooting down on Main Street with the story. Here's Bill Stevens. And that's what you meant about the little carts.
Oh, yeah.
You would have the cartridge you'd have to hit, and that would be Bill on the cart going, well, last night there was a la, 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 la.
Yep.
And then also, you might say the mayor had this comment. Boom, you would hit the tape again. And the mayor said, well, it was a very tragic night.
Yep.
Everybody was sad.
Yep.
And it was wild, because I remember back in the day, because, we did a lot of local news, which obviously you're used to too.
Right.
But I remember the news guy would come in, with a stack of tape cartridges, because each one of them had their own little story.
Yep.
And he would come in with a whole stack of paper, and it was like, yeah, it's showtime.
Did you have to play the carts for the news guy, or did he do his? Because we did our own.
At some stations, he would bring the carts in, I would play them, and he would be in another room.
Right.
Sometimes he would be in another room and he would play the carts himself. And sometimes he would actually come in. There was a couple stations in my early career where the news guy would actually come into the station. Into this,
studio,
where I was behind the board.
Right.
They would come into the board, and why is this gentleman calling me now this time of day? Sorry, I can't take your call.
Somebody's
but so it all varied on station to station. But some had their own little newsroom with everything that, self-contained.
I usually did. Even before the BJ and Bill show in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, I had a studio. I had a little, it was like, of course, in like a closet, but it had a typewriter, and that's where the teletype machine was. And I had like 2 cart machines that I could go back and forth between and all of that. But yeah, you had to, and anybody who's been in the business knows this. And if you don't, if you don't, you don't care. But you kind of had to have one eye on what you were reading and one eye on the cart machine. So because sometimes you had to take one cart out and put another cart in, and God forbid you put the wrong one in. Because I would say now, like you said, with that tragic accident downtown, here's our reporter, BJ Odom, on the scene, and it would be something completely different. And you'd go, oh, damn, and then you, obviously that wasn't BJ Odom. We'll get to that in a moment. So it was, brutal, just brutal. And then the computer came along and everything was on the computer, and that was a little bit better, but yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. Cause my last few stations, even if you did a contest, it was all on the computer.
Yes.
This is what you're giving away at this time. This is what's involved in the giveaway. And then you'd even, the last day, and I've used this at 2 different stations. After you got the winner, you would type the name and the address and all that into the computer.
Right.
And then it would also sync in, and then it would get, sent out or go down to the main office where they'd have to come pick it up.
Right.
Oh, how things have changed, because before you just say, okay, Bill from Gainesville, here, he'll come in and pick this up in about, a couple hours. Right. And there were some listeners. This is what's cool too. In the radio business, you kind of got to know the listeners, because some people would win.
Yes.
And before your shift would be over, the secretary would come in or something. This morning, did you give away blankety blank blank to blankety blank blank? Oh yeah, here it is. And the same people, if they won, they would be there like right away.
They were probably they were probably driving to work or something like that, so they just swung by the studio to pick up their goodies. Yep, absolutely, prize folks that won on a regular basis. You bet. And
if you were one of these people, I will apologize to you now. But if you were one of those people that won all the time, and not only did you win all the time with BJ and Bill, but you win all the time with Stan and Haney. You'd win all the time with whatever morning show is going on.
I hear this
coming. And then we would say, oh, those prize hogs.
Prize pigs. I remember that well. Oh, yeah.
And then like came along, where the sites where you could sell stuff. You'd find that these prize hogs a lot of times then would turn around and sell the stuff.
Yeah.
Online, and you're going, oh my God.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing. Yes, they were professional, and I'm sure there still are today. They were professional contest players and winners and prize people and all. And it was, we were.
And then you would have offices.
What's that?
Let's say you were giving away tickets to Bobby Rydell or something. You'd be giving them to an oldies concert.
Right.
And by the end of the week, everyone in that particular office would have won the tickets, because they all called together. And then even if they won, because you were only allowed to win like once, they would quickly hand the phone off to their, fellow employee and go, and they would be the winner. You go, how did they all get it? It's because they would all call at the same time, and they would just pass the phone. If I've already won here, you got to take this.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Bringing back some memories there from the other side, right? From people who were called. I mean, we loved them. We loved those folks. Of course, we loved our prize winners. We loved our listeners. We loved all of them. But yes, don't think you were getting away with anything, because we knew it. We just knew what you were doing, and whatever, you can't really do that. And then of course, in later years, and this was just starting to happen when you and I were like towards the end of things, where we were, because we were owned by one big nationwide company, where they would start the nationwide contests, right? Where it was like, we're giving away, $10,000, but it's on, 200 different radio stations all at the same time or something like that. And that was always kind of a nightmare to kind of coordinate that. I'm not even sure how they did that to this day, but they did.
Now what it was, if they would actually record the winner there, and they would say, oh, I just won 10,000. I'm blankety blank blank, and I just won $10,000, and I'm so excited. And then immediately they would send those out to all the different stations, and you had to get it prepared and ready. And it was dumb, because they didn't back in the day, used to always like to say, and what station, gives away the greatest prizes of all time. Right. Oh my goodness, holy 35.
Right.
But there they go. You would not ever hear a station or a location. It's like, this is Bill, and I just won $10,000. I am so excited. Okay, Bill, where are you from?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Bill, what radio station?
Yeah. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Wait a minute. I'm listening in Fort Myers, Florida. What? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I hated doing those. I don't know anybody
except for the corporation, of course. I don't know any radio people, on air people, who actually liked that, because it took away the local fun to it. And, you weren't giving away money. You weren't giving away anything locally. Well, you might have a local winner, but with hundreds and hundreds of radio stations participating in. Maybe I think we're giving away some secrets here now, BJ. I don't know if people are going, wait, what? These contests were not local? In the beginning, they were. In the end, not so much. With the big prizes, with the big, big money prizes.
And what was funny too, like you said, when the big companies bought back in the day, back when BJ and Bill were just getting into radio, the most you could own was an AM, and then FM came along. Then you could own an AM and FM.
Right.
And then things got looser with the,
ownership,
and you could own two at a time.
Right.
Now I think you cannot own any more than half the radio stations in the area.
In the market, they call that. Right.
And so
can you imagine one company owning half the radio stations? That's crazy.
Well, and usually it was like three companies, and one owned half, one owned like more than a quarter, and one just owned like maybe a couple,
Right.
Even the small players at the end were owning at least a couple in the same city.
Yep.
But what would be funny, and I don't want to be giving away secrets, but we are giving them away, folks.
We're giving them away.
Okay, like ours would be the Oldies 95 cash grab.
Right.
And we'd be giving away cash. At the same time, right down the hall at our country station, it would be the country giveaway. Or it would be some other name.
Right.
But we'd have to time it out. Okay, it's 10 minutes before the hour. We have to play the contest now. And we'd be doing our big contest to give away $10,000. Also, the country station would be doing their $10,000 giveaway. Also, the rock and roll station, also a little bit further down the hall, was doing their $10,000 giveaway. And 9 times out of maybe a million, somebody from our town won the 10,000. Although it would happen now and again.
Yes. But I mean, when we were doing that, I'm trying to think of how many radio stations were probably involved in, like you said, if it was a nationwide thing, could have been hundreds. Could have been hundreds of radio stations.
Probably was, for sure.
For sure.
That, like I said, we would all do the same we'd all do the same time. It'd all be the same $10,000, but we might have 3 or 4 stations in the market that would be part of this giveaway. Now,
and that was only in like Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Naples, just in that market. And then there were another 100 markets out there, like also Tampa, with 3 or 4 radio stations.
Sarasota. Then you'd also have like New York, Philadelphia. But it was always fun for the stations like us that we were big, but we weren't giant.
Right.
So like in a market like Fort Myers, Naples, we could never really give away $10,000. It was hard to give away $10,000.
Right.
We gave away $100, or we gave away concert tickets and things like that. But it made you sound big, if nothing else. We're giving away $10,000 a day. And we weren't giving away squat.
Well, and you had, there was all sorts of crazy language, fancy words, just like politicians nowadays, they can make anything mean anything. Right. So we kind of had to say it was I remember that it was very scripted as to, how who was going to win and how it was going to work and all of that, and you couldn't obviously say, here in town, we're giving away 10, because we weren't, like you said.
Yeah.
So, I remember there was like a very specific way of saying it, or what, I don't know. It was crazy. It was crazy.
But yes, folks, we're turning back the curtain on radio broadcasting. If you are listening, and you hear those big prizes.
Oh, yeah.
And nowadays, too, I've noticed lately, and this is after we left, I think it was just starting maybe when the BJ and Bill show was still around.
Yep.
But like they have a word, like the word might be, I don't know, Kleenex. Text Kleenex to blankety blank blank number.
Right.
And you could win $10,000.
Right.
So all these Kleenexes get, and then they have some kind of database where they can take it out of.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks.
Content. Are they still doing now? See, I'm gonna pull back the curtain even a little bit more for me personally, and to say I listen to very, very little local radio? Do you still listen to any local radio stations like where you, because you can get Orlando radio where you're at, right?
I can get Orlando. I am in a prime location because I can actually get Tampa Bay.
Oh, okay.
And I can get Orlando radio.
Okay.
And I will admit, when I am in the car, it's always on a I shouldn't say local, but a regional radio station.
Really?
Yes.
I will admit, when I'm in the car, it's on Sirius XM.
Yeah, see, I'm a tightwad. I don't have Sirius XM.
And believe me, when back before the back before the pandemic, when I was in the car a lot more, that was important to me, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I still do, and I still drive enough that it's like when I have to drive from Gainesville, like probably 2 or 3 times a month, I'll drive from Gainesville down to Sarasota just for old clients, to visit old computer clients and stuff like that. And it's great to have Sirius XM in the car when you drive long distances. That's probably the best thing that it's for. I can listen to my specific radio station while I'm driving for hours at a time, not have to worry about finding another station, twiddling around on the dial while you drive. And although that was fun too back in the day, because you could listen to local radio stations. The reason I brought that up is I was just wondering do you hear, so if you're listening to Orlando and Tampa Bay stations, are they still doing big time contests like that?
Yes.
Really?
It's still around.
Oh yeah, cool.
Now, I will admit this also, when I'm taking let's say, because it's about an hour to get to Tampa General Hospital. I had an appointment last week at Tampa General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to a little radio coming back, but I listened to the BJ and Bill podcast.
Oh, lovely.
And I'll tell you what, I am getting old, folks, and maybe you notice it, maybe you don't, but sometimes I say things, and I don't know if you're catching this or not, Bill Stevens, but I say things opposite of what I mean to say. Like I might say, I don't know, apple, but I might say pear when I'm really thinking apple.
Wait, you always did that.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm not getting that old.
No.
I hear, and I go, I didn't wait. I just said the just said the opposite of what I meant to say.
Right. No, I hear that. I totally do, and I'm sure that I'm doing the same thing. But I don't think. Well, it's not you. Trust me. I think as we get, I hate to say older. I hate saying older. As we get to be more mature or whatever. Yeah, I know, right? That sometimes crap comes out of your mouth and you go, wait a minute, what did I what? Wait, what?
That's not anything what I meant to say.
No.
So hopefully people, when you're deciphering this podcast, you can decipher it.
Maybe we need to send out like a translation guide along with it, something like that. And I get it. And I don't think it's not you, I think all of us do that. And I think it just goes to show how sketchy sometimes communication can be, especially when all you're doing, everybody says, not everybody, experts, whatever the heck that means, experts will say that a vast majority, like well over half of the message that you communicate when you are communicating with another human is nonverbal. It's your expressions, it's your hand, it's your smile, it's the vibe you're giving off, all of that. And if you're listening to a podcast, well, all you have is the voice. All you have is the words, is the voice. And so I'm not going to say it's hard. I'm saying you're limiting, it's like you don't get to see BJ and Bill talk. Well, you never did on the radio, I understand. But it's different. It's really different when you're talking to somebody live and in person versus just hearing the words they say. There you go. So I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit. But yes, I think that happens to everybody.
Speaking of maturing.
Uh-oh.
I did not want to get us fired.
Yeah.
So I actually asked my son not to listen to the last podcast. And of course, he has to say, well, why not?
Of course. Yeah, that was.
Says, well, we might have talked about you a little bit.
Right.
I said, I noticed, and Susan noticed that your hair was a little darker. Now, I will say his hair is longer than he's ever worn it, I think, in his entire life.
Oh, really?
Except for when he was real little and he had that little ponytail, or not, what they call him, a little tail. Like back in the, when he was a kid, that was kind of cool. You had the little tail. Rat tail. And he had one of those. And I says, your hair look, and Susan noticed it too. It just looked darker. And he said, well, my hair's longer now. And I had, and I'm going to put this in quotes, product in my hair.
Product.
But he did say, he goes, don't worry, Dad, I'm getting gray. There's gray in there. And if you really look, you can see the gray. And you can see the gray in my little stubbly beard. But no, I'm not covering it up. I'm not putting anything special in it. It's just I'm using product. Now I probably really got us fired after that.
Probably. So thanks for that. No, so he denied any artificial coloring is what you're saying.
Right. He just said it was product.
Okay.
And I know, I use product once in a blue moon. I mean, where I wanted to, like, if I'm going somewhere and I want it to stay, because my hair just goes every which way.
Right. And again, for the second week in a row, I should tell the folks at home, for the second week in a row, BJ Odom doing the podcast without his signature baseball hat on of some sort.
Well, that's because, again, I just showered and I have to go to, the dermatologist.
Okay. So you don't wear the hat when you go to the dermatologist?
No.
Okay, good.
I have known to wear it like to, appointments after I've showered. But usually, like if I shower, my hair's still like it is now. So it's somewhat in.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Now, after I go out and it'll blow around and look terrible.
Yeah.
Because I don't put product in it. Then I might wear a hat like later this afternoon when I look in the mirror, go, oh crap, look at this hair. I had to put the old hat on. But,
yeah. When not long after my divorce, I was dating a lady for a while who really liked to play around with the hair, with hers, mine, doesn't matter. And she had me using some kind of product so that it kind of was shorter and stood like almost straight back.
Oh, spike, a little spike then.
Yeah. And I mean, it was okay for a while, but it didn't last any longer than she did. So after that was gone, I went right back to the old school. And I've had the same hair since my father was giving me a crew cut when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. So yeah, I get it.
Every time I go to I don't want to call him a barber anymore, because I do go to, those like Cuts for Us or
super cuts and great clips. That. I do too. Yep.
And every time they said, now this product really helps. It'll stay. I go, I brush my hair back in the morning.
Yep.
And I walk out the door. I don't spritz, I don't spray, I don't gel, I don't mousse. And they're all like, okay. Change your mind. We have them here.
Of course. Well, sure. Because
of course they always use it. And when you do walk out, you go, damn, my hair actually looks good today. Maybe I should put this crap in my hair.
No. I'm fine. I'm fine the way I am. Thank you very much. And I don't need to have product, which is the dumbest thing. I mean, I get it. That's a word that is meaningless. It's, as a guy who loves words, just to say product that's meaningless. That's like, what'd you have for dinner? Food. Well, of course you did, but can you be a little more specific?
Yeah, because there's gels, there's sprays, there's
mousse, elk, squirrel, you name it. There's all kinds.
Now,
we've been chatting for a half hour. We didn't even, who knew?
Well, just before we close, I will say this: at an early age, though, to give him credit where credit is due, his old man's always been comb it back and go.
Right.
Don't worry about product, worry about a hat more than product. But even at an early, probably young teenager, even maybe before that, he's always been into clothing. He's been into the way his hair looks. So he's been kind of a gel mousse, kind of DQ. What is it? Not DQ, but GQ. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm more of a DQ guy. He's more.
No, we're not. Dairy Queen person. That's me. a DQ guy. Although Culver's, I got to admit, Culver's. Give DQ a run for the money.
You and my wife.
Oh my gosh.
I'm still
goodness.
I'm still more of a DQ guy.
I would not turn it down. I mean, if I'm driving by and they're next door to each other or on the opposite side of the streets, it's Culver's. 99 times out of 100, it's Culver's.
I would say my wife is the same way.
Yeah. Really.
If I made choices in this household, it would be DQ more. And she raves on their burgers, and I can't. I mean, sorry, Culver's. I like your shrimp, your fried shrimp.
Yeah.
I can take your fish sandwich, but you can take your booger. And
yeah.
You can. I do not like their burger.
They're that either. So yeah, no, I don't go for the food. I just drive through, and it's one of those concretes or whatever you call them for me.
See, so, I prefer the old Blizzard.
Same thing. Yeah, it's the DQ version versus the Culver version. All right, look at that. All right, so I'd be curious to hear more about this fast food burger thing, and I think we will do that in a moment. But shall we? Let's take a break. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we will be right back. Welcome back. I'm Bill Stevens. That's BJ Odom. This is the BJ and Bill podcast. You can find us on Facebook. Just do a quick search for BJ and Bill podcast, or you can email us directly, bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com. And if you would like to leave us a little review while you're at it, when you're sharing this with your friends, that would be doubly awesome.
We would love you forever.
We would. We really would. Now, speaking of loving things, we were talking before the break about the DQ, the Dairy Queen versus Culver's thing, and I think we've pretty much mined the ice cream. It's not really ice cream; it's the soft serve, whatever you want to call it, DQ stuff. But the fast food burger thing we were talking about, not so much. I mean, I would say on the food thing, the Dairy Queen versus Culver's about the same. But if you're going for a fast food burger, where are you going? And I already know the answer to this. And if you don't say what I think you're going to say, you're no longer my friend. But where are you going for a burger?
It all depends on what I want to spend and how quick I want to do it.
Well, all right. I understand that. So it's not a sit down rest. Well, you can sit there, but not a sit down, not like Outback Steakhouse. Their burgers are not that great anyway. And your answer would be I don't care about money. Where are you going?
Now, if I'm going to go, but I'm still going to sit there. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios.
Oh boy.
If I go and I sit there, but it's still what I would consider fast food.
Yes.
It would be Five Guys.
Of course. Ta-da-da.
But if I'm traveling.
Yes.
And I want a quick burger. I want to quick go in, go out, eat it down.
Right.
It's 90% of the time, Burger King would win that war.
Wow, really? I couldn't tell you the last time I've been to a fast food joint, but yeah, wow, Burger King. Interesting. Okay, cool.
And then there's a place not too far from here, which sometimes I go there and I still look at my wife and I go, I still think Five Guys is better. But Adler's is a place right here, kind of locally.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my wife must be heard us talking about food, and she come like perking in. Where's your favorite burger at, dear?
I'm being a man today.
Oh, you're being a man. What are you working on today?
Hanging pictures.
She's hanging pictures. Well, don't be pounding today. We're trying to do a podcast here.
Wow. Dear. Well, I haven't heard any banging or.
Well, she just came in and got the ruler and the level and things like that.
Her, give you 20 minutes here and we'll be done.
She always teases me. I'm doing manly things. And I'm like, oh, good job for you.
Nowadays, it doesn't. She identifies as a person who does manly things today. That's okay.
Yeah. I said, but she's not a real man.
Oh,
because, if she was a real man, she'd be wanting to do what I want to do, like 24/7.
I was going to say,
if you were a real man, you would want to go in that room right now and do exactly what I want to do.
This could go off the rails at any moment, folks. So just be careful while you're driving here. Yes, I hear you. I get it. So, but nowadays, everybody does everything. I think. I'm not sure. So,
well, guess who does the laundry?
You.
Yes.
Really?
Yep, I do the laundry. The only thing though I do, dear, the wash is done. Put in the dryer what you want in the dryer, and hang the rest of the stuff up.
Oh, you have a system there for hanging versus drying.
Yeah, because there's some things she just does not like to put in a dryer. Me, if I'm doing my laundry and it's just mine, everything is going in the dryer.
That's yours truly. I mean, of course I do my own. Of course I do laundry because it's just me here. There's nobody else to do laundry. So of course I'm doing laundry. But yes, for me, it all goes in at the same time. Don't tell me colors versus whites versus it all goes into the washer. It all goes into the dryer. It all gets folded at the same time. Done.
I'm sorry, but at least I know the whites go with the whites. The lighter colors go with the lighter colors, and the darker colors go with the darker colors. The towels go with the towels, and the jeans go with the jeans.
All separate?
Yes.
So it sounds like you're doing 5 different loads of laundry here.
Yep.
Wow. I would not want to have your water and power bill for that, but
that's true.
I get it. And I guess in a house with more than one person, because see, a house with one person, and that would be mine. It's like, okay, it's Sunday and I'm not doing anything. I'll throw in the load of laundry, meaning one load of laundry for the week.
Now, if it was just me,
yeah,
the colors would be the colors.
Yes.
The whites would be the whites.
Yes.
The jeans would still go with the jeans. And maybe I would throw a towel or two in there.
Right.
Because I'd only have a towel or two.
Right.
During the week, because I use the same towel all week long.
So same here.
And that'd be about, this is always separate. And it'll always be separate to me. The underwear do not go in with anything else.
Okay.
You want to wash that racing stripe out, but you don't want the racing stripe to get on anything else if you get my drift.
I get your drift. All righty then.
And that's where you really use your extremely hot water.
Right.
You might put a little, something else in there too.
A little bleach, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, because you want those. You don't want to mix those with anything else.
I understand.
At least not mine.
I understand. And if that were an issue for me, then I would definitely do that. But now you're going to make me think about it the next time I do a load of laundry. Now
maybe I shouldn't put this pair of underwear in with my regular clothes.
I'm going to be inspecting things a little more closely now. And next time I do laundry, that's all I'm saying. Oh, man.
Now, to keep on kind of the same subject. Now, my wife is not, but my daughters are particular on this.
Okay.
When you go to the bathroom in her house, you definitely put the toilet seat, not just the seat, but the big flap that covers the whole toilet.
The lid, yeah. You put the lid down too.
Down also before you flush. And don't you ever flush unless you do that.
Oh, before you flush. And is okay. I'm guessing that's to avoid any kind of, shall we say, splatter.
Yeah, particles to go into the air and go to the toothbrush or anything.
Yeah. I've lived 66 plus years not worrying about particles from my toilet, and it seems to be okay for me. Now, could I be wrong? Will it kill me someday? It might, but I'd be curious to see some. And I was thinking when you said put the lid down, she has a dog or a cat that's going to try and, use it as a water dish or something like that. No.
Well, she probably has that too. But,
okay.
But that is it. Oh, you do not want to go
in. Well, does she come in and check on you before you flush?
She has before. I will say she has before. Dad, you didn't put the lid down before you flushed.
How the heck do you know? All right. That's, I gotta say, that's the first time I've heard that particular requirement, shall we say. So, the
women always want you to put the seat down As far as, they want the seat down because they don't want their high knee to go falling down into the toilet.
Because they can't look. Because apparently they are incapable.
They have no eyes.
What's that?
They have no eyes.
No eyes. Can't look, can't see if that toilet seat is up, and can't possibly touch it to put it down. I get that. But again,
I should say that the next time that maybe I have just a little splatter or something over to the, I should say, I can't see either. That's why some of it didn't go in. Bathroom etiquette. How have we gotten here now?
Yeah, we went from burgers to bathrooms in a split second. I have no idea how we got here. So,
and I don't want to gross people out, but Bill Stevens never told us where he gets his burgers.
No, it would have been burgers to bathrooms to burgers. It would be Five Guys. Yeah, but like you said, Five Guys, it's expensive. I mean, I get that it's high quality and it's pretty darn tasty. It really is. But if you go for a burger and fries and a drink and whatever, that's $20. I mean, it's not $20, but it's getting close. It's getting close for one person. And that's pretty crazy. I shouldn't complain. I don't go out to eat that much anyway.
Now, last week, I told you because we talked about the cauliflower sandwich.
Oh, yeah, cauliflower pizza.
And I was ready to leave and go get a cauliflower sandwich. No cauliflower sandwiches available in Florida, at least at this time.
Right. Oh, Chick-fil-A is gonna. Yes, yeah, Chick-fil-A.
It's only a test run right now.
Yes, we looked it up.
But there's this, and I told you we went and got a shrimp boil.
Okay.
Because we have this restaurant close to us where you get, it's a great price, I think.
Okay.
For $11.99. You get headless, the head's chopped off. You still got to peel them though.
Right.
And you get like a pound of shrimp boiled.
Right.
You get a potato in there.
Right.
And you get a piece of corn in there.
Right.
They put it in a bag. I don't know how they do it, but it comes out and they open the bag and, you got, little butter and stuff in there to cook it in.
Yummy.
And so that's a shrimp boil, I guess.
Okay.
And we will go to this restaurant, which was in Winter Haven, and there's also one up here in this area, and get a shrimp boil, and it will cost less than the two of us going to Five Guys.
Yes.
Now our order will be usually two little burgers. Sometimes I'll get a double burger.
Right.
But we only get one fry because they always give you enough.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not a big fry lover.
Mountain of fries.
So they give you a mountain of fries. So that covers both of us with no problem. Sometimes we'll get a drink. Sometimes she gets a drink. I'll just drink water. I'm more of a water person than I am a soda person.
I'm trying to be.
But our bill usually at Five Guys will be more than our bill when we go both get a shrimp boil.
Yeah.
And I just think that's wrong.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I get it. If you want good stuff, I get it. It's gonna, if you go to Shula's Steakhouse, it's a little bit better than going to Outback. I get that, but not that Outback's bad. I was just there last weekend. But yes. So, and again, I think that's another one of those two old guys complaining about when I was a kid, prices were a lot lower. It's like, I get it. Okay, Grandpa, thanks.
But even though, let's say you go to Burger King or you go to McDonald's here lately, let's say you go with two people, your bill is going to be around $25, $26 with drinks. It's like, what happened? You used to be able to go into like McDonald's, and like for
$2,
less than $10, two of you could eat.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Now,
double
$20, maybe.
Yeah.
Both of you can eat.
Yeah.
So it's like, but hey, they're getting $15 an hour now. But I will say, but that's a vicious circle too. That's another story. I believe everybody deserves $15 an hour, but then when everybody makes $15 an hour, then everything goes up in price. So the person that makes $15 is right back in the hole where they were before they got $15 an hour. Does that make any sense to you?
I have heard that. I've heard that idea before.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, I get it. I really do. But again, I'm not 100% sure because, if you looked at how many, what was McDonald's? We're picking on McDonald's just because we happen to be talking about them. It's not McDonald's in particular, but how much money did that company make last year? How much did they pay their CEO last year? How much and I guess this is the, communist in me coming out or whatever. Maybe if we could spread things around a little bit more rather than the CEO making $10 million and the kid on the front line making $11 an hour, whatever. But I don't know. I'm not an economist and I don't play one on TV, but I absolutely get it that if you're going to raise the prices, if you're going to raise the what you pay people, in company thinking, in corporate thinking, okay, our payroll just went up 10%. In order to keep the same level of profit, we've got to raise prices 10%. I understand that. I'm not sure it's the right way to do things, but I'm not a CEO of a company, so it's not for me to change. I get it. I get it.
Well, the problem is now, and I'm just going to say this, throw it out, and then we can move on. What my feeling is anymore, these big companies don't work for the employees or they don't work for the customers.
Not really.
They work for their stockholders.
Yes.
And that is, at least in my feeling, that is so wrong.
Well, I agree. A good company, you would hope, would be able to do both, would be able to serve all of it. And if you watch the financial channels at all, you'll know the word stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who have a stake in the company. And that whether you're a CEO, a shareholder, or like I said, the kid taking out the trash at McDonald's, you are a stakeholder in the company. So hopefully, if you're a good company, you can find a way to help everybody, to get everybody on board with this. But now you're right. Most of the time nowadays, it's just what can we do to keep the share price up and keep the investors happy and all of that sort of thing without regard to how we're treating everybody else. And boy, we're getting in a whole other area of economics here that it's interesting. It is interesting and it is crazy. And I don't know that there's a good answer for it with the system that we have created. How's that? So,
I am very upset with you.
Uh-oh.
I looked out my window.
Yes.
About 45 minutes ago, when this podcast began.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a little cloudy, but mostly beautiful blue skies. No rain.
And now?
Now, because you said, "Oh, it's raining. It's
dark.
It's gloomy." Now I'm looking out my window.
Yes.
It is dark.
Yes.
It is gloomy.
Yes.
And it is pouring rain.
Yes. And
thank you, Bill Stevens.
You're welcome, VJ Odom. Let me look out my window. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's pelting down out there.
Oh, great. When I leave here in about another 30 minutes for the dermatologist,
you'll get wet.
I'll be driving in this.
And as your mom said, and my mom said, you're not sugar. You won't melt. Your mom said that, right?
Yeah, but I'm something else, and that melts also. Can you imagine telling your mom that? Yeah, Mom, but I'm, what? And that melts too. Well, it more runs than melts, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. I don't want to know what you're thinking, but I have a suspicion. So yeah, that's fine.
I would say your suspicion is 100% correct. Once again, want to do a shout out as we end the podcast. Say hi to Jay.
Yes.
That guy is our number one fan. And he even says, he goes, I grew up. Great. He's like, I don't know how old he is now, but I grew up with BJ and Bill. I love the BJ and Bill show.
Our buddy Jay.
I love the BJ and Bill podcast.
Our friend Jay.
He listens every week. Now he claims it's for quality control.
Of course he does.
But
of course he does. Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Yeah, the way he talks, he is probably our biggest fan. So
good.
Jay,
I'm glad. Glad we have one.
Yeah, we need a couple more Jays out there.
Yeah, we do. How long has he been working with your son? Boy, forever.
Since the beginning, pretty much.
Yeah, since the beginning. Yeah.
Since the beginning of the company.
Wow.
And he's pretty much, when it comes to the podcast people, he's pretty much the right-hand guy over there.
Yeah. 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 That's interesting. Good for him.
Appreciate it. Then when it comes to the music station, so that's another thing I was going to mention too, and I never got it in there. Now, when I travel,
yes,
because I have unlimited minutes.
On your cell phone?
I will a lot of times listen. We went all the way to Indiana last year, and I would say, because you like to listen to the same thing, not have to worry about tuning your radio around. I would say at least 70% of the trip there, and maybe 50% of the trip back, I was listening to Muddy Country Radio.
Muddy Country. Not Shaq Fu Radio, huh?
No, I'll listen to that every once in a while for like if I'm traveling by myself.
Right.
I don't know. It's just it's not my cup of tea, but I can handle it.
Right.
It's not my wife's cup of tea. It's not even her milk. It's not even
coffee, tea.
It's not even her prune juice. Let's just say that it's not even her prune juice.
I hear you. And of course, because of course yours truly, I mean, I'm on Shaq Fu Radio 3 times a week, but that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother, yours truly is keeping up his reporting, his reporting street cred for, I know as much about Shaq as Shaq knows about Shaq. So,
yeah, but you're not mixing the music, young man.
No, I am not. No, not even close.
Going, doing the scratching and
no, that's not for me. That's not for me. So it's okay. It's okay. So,
but I will say I listen to it probably at least a few times a week though.
That's good. Thank you.
I try to be a little hip, but boy, now I know it's about time to end the show, but I know you mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Did you watch the Oscars? Because I watched Jimmy Kimmel. I watched Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, and then I was gone.
I did not. I was actually getting into bed last night, what I normally do is scroll Twitter a little bit to see what's going on in the world. And that's the only way I knew. So to answer your question, I did not watch 1 second of the Oscars. The only way I knew what happened in only the slightest little bit was on Twitter, where somebody would post a picture, a screenshot, and go, "Oh, so-and-so won Best Actor, Best Actress, Best whatever." So cool. But
now,
nope.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When you were younger, did you watch the Oscars?
A little bit. But I mean, when you say younger, are you talking about when I was a kid? Were they on TV then? I don't remember.
Let's say 20, 30, when you were in your 20s or 30s. Maybe
probably 40. A little bit. Yes. Yeah, a little bit. Not even a little, probably more than a little bit. Yeah.
Because I wonder if this happens in every generation. Because like as a younger person, I would always watch the Oscars.
Right.
I would always watch the music awards.
Right.
Now I'll pretty much watch the CMAs, the Country Music Association Awards, or Country Music Awards, or whatever.
Right.
CMA,
right.
I guess, Country Music Awards. So I'll watch those. Every once in a while, I'll watch maybe a little bit of the Grammys, but I don't really I don't watch too much anymore now that I'm older, but I used to, as a younger person, watched a lot. And maybe it is because too, being an older person, I know there's still some older people that go to movies quite often. I don't go to the movies as much as I used to.
Sure. I don't either.
Even when I was on Oldies 95, I would listen to the hot hip music, and I'd listen to country.
Right.
But I don't know when the last time I've had a contemporary hit radio station on. It's usually when I'm in my car. Like I said, I do listen to, regional radio in my car usually. It's usually country, almost 99.9. I'll be listening to that twang, baby. Give me a little of that twang.
So you would still know, I'll make the point in a second. So you would still know, when you listen to country, you would still know who the latest artists are, the latest big songs are, the latest stuff, right?
Yes, of course. I just got out of country radio.
Right.
Basically maybe a month or two ago.
Right.
But I still listen enough where I'm still pretty hip on who's hot and who's happening now. Which
was the point I was going to make. And that is, if I were to listen to, like you said, contemporary hit radio now, I wouldn't know I couldn't pick them out of a lineup. I mean, unless it was unless it was a name, unless somebody said the name and I would go, oh, I recognize that name. I watched the Super Bowl. I know who Rhiannon is, but other than that, no, I would be lost and clueless with new music, and I guess I think that's probably normal for some, especially me who has no kids, no grandkids who are going to be coming into the house listening to music like that. Oh, Grandpa, you're so square. You don't know who blah, blah, blah. No, I have no clue, nor do I care. So
I'd pretty much be like Blake Shelton on The Voice. Somebody will come out and do a contemporary song by some famous artist.
Right.
And they'll all go, that. And they'll go, Blake, do you even know who that was? No. Don't have a clue. But the guy sounded good and he had good tones. So I want him on my team, but I don't have no idea what that song was.
I was actually dating a lady last year or so, and she was so into The Voice. I mean, we had to be at home, we had to be in front of the TV to watch The Voice or whatever. And so I did watch one season almost all the way through of The Voice. And those kids are crazy talented. But you're right. Now, to their credit, a lot of them did older songs or did songs, and they probably do that on purpose. So it's like, oh, I know that song. So then you're going to want to hear it. You're going to want to hear this kid's new version of it. I say kid, they're young people, they're whatever. But yeah, they were terrific. I mean, it's not something I need to watch a lot, but I see the talent there. So good for them.
Well, I'm going to admit something right here on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
You've always heard of those man crushes?
Yes.
If I was to have a man crush,
it would be on
Blake Shelton would be my man.
He's a sharp guy. Are you talking about now just personality? Are you talking looks? Are you talking whole package?
I'm talking about the total package, baby.
Total package.
Would I rip my clothes off and get with Blake Shelton?
No.
But if I was to have a man crush, I guess if the Lord said the only way I could live in life is got to be with a man, then Blake would be my man. Hey, that'd be a good country song. If the Lord told me I had to love a man, you would be my man.
Well, but wait, who's he married to? He's married to somebody famous too, right?
Stefani.
Oh, that's right. Because the two of them were on the show together. I mean, at the same time. Yeah.
And
that was an interesting dynamic.
Crush, that might be one of my crushes too. I could see a threesome with them. I really could.
Oh boy. Been a great week, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Gotta go. All right. Before we get into any deeper, you know what?
What, Bill Stevens, since you are the writer, you usually write the little description of the show. Good luck to you this week.
Yes. Everything from bathroom habits to fast food burgers to man crush. There's there's the headline right there. That's what I'm writing there.
Because I'm learning hashtags are really important too. So now I'm starting to know what my hashtags are going to be.
Hashtag. I hadn't thought of that. Yes. I've got hashtag man crush.
Yeah.
Yes. Hashtag toilet seat down. Whatever. Oh my gosh. So wait a minute. Let's one more check outside. Rain is slowing down here in Gainesville. You're probably going to be getting it for the next hour.
Well, right now it seems to be slowing down, but who knows? Well, one good thing, I guess, I'm going north because I'm going to Claremont. Well, I'm in Claremont, but I'm in South Claremont.
Okay.
Down by 192, which is the Four Corners.
Okay.
And I'm going to go right up to the whole town. I mean, the town, the
town of Claremont.
Claremont, yeah.
Exciting. Well,
I'm a Claremont country boy right now. That's why I got my man crush on Blake.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the BJ and Bill podcast comes to an exciting conclusion. Please feel free to join us again next week and reach out and get in touch at bjandbillpodcast@gmail.com or look us up on Facebook at BJ and Bill Podcast. Just look us up, leave a comment, tell us your man crush, do whatever you want. So,
and Blake, if you're listening to the podcast and you want to get in touch with me, feel free. I'll make sure I get in touch with you. I'll get right back with you.
We will expect a complete report on BJ Odom and Blake Shelton next week. But until then, it's time for BJ to say,
see ya.